So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Members.
Oh, we need 6.
Oh, there's Jeanette. Hi,
So,
Jeanette.
Miss Ceci had confirmed, we're waiting for her, but then we would be missing one person, one member. We can still run through the agenda, it's just no action can be taken by the committee. And then, once we're ready, I can call in Dr. Chamberlain for the air quality update that he was going to provide. Oh, there's Miss Ceci. Come in, come in.
You're not getting a gold star.
How are you?
So how's the new grandchild?
Amazing. Congratulations.
He's done well. He's already telling us what to do.
Yeah, they start very young.
That's good. Okay, so I guess we can start. Welcome to the City of Laredo Blue Ribbon Committee for People with Disabilities. Today is September 21st, 2022. And I'd like to call a meeting to order. And the first item, or the second item rather, is to review and approve the minutes of and we all can go through them. Let us know if there are any changes or revisions that need to be made.
Mr. Chair, due to lack of quorum, they can't approve minutes until you have full quorum.
Okay, so they can review.
They can read them, yeah. And once we have quorum, or in the next
So we
meeting,
need
we can.
six physically here.
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
We're missing one.
6. So we need 6 and plus 1.
No, we need 6, but they are liaisons. They're liaisons and they're public members.
I'm thinking about that.
Right.
I figured out a way to do that.
Erica, you don't count as a member?
I don't.
I thought
I'm
you
a
did.
liaison.
Oh.
Did Miss
After so many
Jackie?
years, we figured it out.
She's confirmed.
Yes, she did.
Oh, maybe she'll come in.
It's being recorded.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, are we gonna wait for another member?
We can go through
No,
the
go ahead and
agenda.
look at the minutes, and if there are any changes or revisions that we have to make.
Just
Well-
to
Okay, I have one more ready. I have one question on reviewing the minutes. It's just a question.
I did notice the last meeting I was here, and it says I was absent.
Ándale.
That was when, yes, when the Sergeant Garcia came in.
Yeah.
Yes, I was. Porque comimos firehouse. So.
That's why.
That's
why I remember.
Because Christine also gave me.
I think that you didn't sign in,
Oh,
And-
okay.
but let me add you on there.
Yes.
Just
thank
make
you.
sure I'm in, because I go by the
Oh, the
signage.
sign-in thing. Okay. Yes, I already signed into this one. But I remember by the
Okay, I got you. I fixed it.
Thank you.
I have a question for Christine. You have here that you have a Project Power, right? After school program by the American Diabetes Association. Is that only available to those kids that stay in the after school program, or is that available to all of them?
That is an activity that is done by the American Diabetes Association. What our program did is the individuals that have that diagnosis or fall into that category, we referred them to that power program that they can connect with the American Diabetes. So it's not so much of the schools, it's not the schools program, it's the American Diabetes Association. And as and they get to do a physical activity online together with their families. And then they get some items sent to their home that incorporate physical activity and education.
So you can do it either at school or at home. So after school, I said, well, maybe it's only available to those kids that stay in the after school, program where they wait for their parents to pick them up and stuff. Thank you. So are there any changes or revisions? No? So can
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
As I was reviewing item number 3, which states public comments, Robert Garcia, PD, working with hospitals to more properly work with people with disabilities. I remember the discussion, but I also noticed that at the end of our paragraph for the minutes, it states he will reach out for sensitivity training from VR regional staff. The next sentence says sensitivity training is no longer done by the local VR office. I guess a more of a concern than a question, or maybe both. Do they have a resource to do the sensitivity training? To help PD out with the sensitivity training, do we have a resource for them? Or did they find a resource?
So, if I can respond to that. So the sensitivity trainings used to be done by the local VR office.
I remember.
Yeah, and now they're done by the regional office. But the regional office in San Antonio can travel anywhere in our region, to include Laredo, to do a sensitivity training. But they have trainings that are vetted by the state in terms of accessibility, and they have regional program specialists that do that. So it's still available to the community. It's just a matter of contacting. If they contact local VR, we can coordinate that for them. We have not had them contact us since the last meeting.
But they do have a resource then, that's great.
Yes.
But then they
Yeah,
need to
absolutely.
be the person to initiate the contact.
Correct. That's usually how it works, because they need to let us know potential dates and times, how much time are we looking at, so that we can forward that information to the regional level.
I understand. Thank you.
Sure thing.
On that note, I can share with the committee that the health department did make contact with the regional office. We are coordinating for training for our managers and supervisors. It will be mandatory for managers and supervisors, but open for the entire health department staff. And they will provide sensitivity training, I believe it's October 13th. And they'll conduct several sessions throughout the day. And we're also connecting with City of Laredo Human Resources Department to connect them as well if they want to explore other options for training for the entire City of Laredo staff.
Excellent. Wonderful. Sounds
So
good.
Erica, that includes the police department. They'll be invited to that?
For the health department, it was solely for health department.
Okay.
But we can go ahead and reach out. I'll have my training coordinator reach out to the PD contact to see if they want to bridge any type of training from the books.
That would be great. Another thing I was thinking is I wonder if any of those resources could be conveyed electronically if they kept, maybe because of the distance. You know, I'm thinking this bridge idea gave me the idea that perhaps if it's not conducive to their time or schedule, and you know how we found out when we were training that the police department has shifts for different groups of police officers. So I'm thinking perhaps exploring the possibility of having those sensitivity training type workshops available electronically. Maybe that would facilitate their using those resources.
And I believe that was the option, whether we wanted it virtual or in person. The health department did opt to do in-person training for this
That's
coming
better, right?
session. But yeah, that's definitely an option they have provided to us.
Right.
So we are able to present on the Teams platform, which is the Microsoft Word software. That's a presentation that we can coordinate. If we can do a Zoom or a WebEx, but that would have to be facilitated by someone else. I mean, we could come in as the presenters, but because of the firewalls that we have in our system, we're not able to actually coordinate it, but we can come into that platform as a presenter. So just an FYI. And like Erica said, virtual is an option.
That's great. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption, Mr. Chair. I just had a question.
No, thank you for the clarification. Okay, so we can't vote on approving the minutes, so I guess we'll just move on to the next agenda until the next agenda item. Item 3 is public comments. Any citizens sign up?
No signs for public comments.
Okay, thank you. So we can move on to item 4, report from Christine Reyes Special Needs Program.
Good morning. Just 4 points or 4 bullet points that I have to report today. Our program is once again collaborating with the epidemiology. Preparedness bags for the month of September to families to be a little bit more educated on family emergency plans for Emergency Preparedness Month on education, as well as additional resources in case if there is a power outage, flood, heat advisories, things of that sort that affect our area. So I was really happy that epidemiology, of course they've always partnered with our program, but I'm happy to say that we're going to be collaborating a lot more together because they're that resource of FEMA and emergency preparedness education. We helped 100 families this past week. We're going to plan on an additional 100 families this next coming month at the Mobile Healthcare Village event. Some of the items other than the emergency preparedness education we're providing, we're going to add sensory tactile material and safety information themed towards the Halloween holiday. I had mentioned, and I believe in the Autism Coalition, that we applied, or I myself applied, to the Road to Recovery application for supporting children with intellectual developmental disabilities who have experienced trauma. We're hoping to get some feedback by mid-December to see if I'm accepted to become a master trainer for our area. This program is free. Resources in Texas, so the Texas Developmental Council of Disabilities decided to run this program with UT as a partner and develop this program create master trainers throughout Texas to implement 2 trainings per year in their area. So I'm very hopeful to hear something back by mid-December, and I'll let the committee know how the application went, hopefully crossing our fingers. Our program was able to meet with Sarah Minner with our partners ECI. We had a very productive meeting, a virtual meeting, with Ms. Minner for the Autism Institute in San Antonio. Our goal is, of course, to learn a little bit more about their institute because it is at its infancy stage, and to learn what resources we can collaborate to bring to Laredo, and then get a little bit more education on how it's developed in San Antonio to possibly implement it here locally. Of course, we're just as they're in their infancy stage of their institute, we're at our infancy stage of the collaboration. So I will continue to keep the committee updated on any news or any information that changes. But we are hopeful that once we do make a trip to Brighton Center this year, we could possibly schedule a site visit to that institute as well to learn a little bit more about their university. But the program is, again, educating the community on, we created educational flyers and videos for emergency preparedness, so we're going to continue throughout the month of September to share that via social media. We did receive new information and statistics and data from the pediatrics level of emergency preparedness for the state, so we're going to be sharing that new information. That one hits a little bit closer to home. It's a little bit more emotional because there are medically complex conditions that are shown in that video, but it's important for education purposes for families to learn how to help prepare in case of a natural disaster or an emergency. But again, that'll be shared via social media, and then we'll also share it through our emails in case any agencies or organizations want to share it. And that did come from the state level. And that is my report.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Christine did say IDD. Does everybody know what IDD is? Okay, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I'm testing all of you. Because people just not. Sometimes we can forget. So.
That's true.
Anyway, let's move on. I didn't mean to insult anyone's intelligence. Lost my place. Next item, number 5, is discussion of possible action on letter A is Autism Coalition.
Okay, so discussion, I can't act on anything today, but I did want to remind all members of the committee we are having our first Autism Coalition Town Hall meeting at the Laredo Public Library off of Colton at 6 p.m. today. We've been announcing it to the entire community via social media. We sent out a media release, so we are going to have some media presence there as well. It is an information gathering session, so we did develop a survey that is going to be done either via phone or computer through a VR code. 3 simple questions. what do you think our community does well for the autism community? What can we improve on? What are your suggestions? So we are looking forward to a very members to join us tonight.
Thank you.
And that is the update for the autism. Dr. Chamberlain has joined us for an air quality update.
If I can add on the Autism Coalition Committee, I know that it carries that title, but of not only servicing the autistic population, but any individual that falls under a neurodevelopmental disability. And so, just want to make sure that we make that clear, because I know that it has that title, but the committee has.
Morning, Doctor.
Good morning. Sorry.
Good morning.
You're fine. You're good.
Thank you all for allowing me to come and join. I'm not sure if we're moving on to the next topic.
We
but I'll
are
let
moving
you,
on to the
Mr.
next.
Chair.
The next item is air quality.
So if I may,
Sure, absolutely.
we had a very it wasn't what we wanted to hear. Be very frank is my interpretation of the information shared at the event. We do appreciate the time taken for them to come and visit with us, although it's been quite some time in the making with multiple. As we are not a regulatory agency, and they are a regulatory agency, and TCAQ is a regulatory agency, and the city of Laredo is having to step up with members of the community to initiate regulating data or to obtain data for regulation. So we're not very happy about that on our side, since we rely on ourselves if nobody's going to take care of us. So we're definitely putting that foot forward. As City Council did set aside funds specific for ethylene oxide monitoring to be funneled through the Rio Grande International Study Center and the Clean Air Laredo Coalition. The only issue is that their EPA continuously shared, and I know via this committee, persons were saying I wanted to be able just to buy the monitors and give them to the city of Laredo. And as I mentioned, as easy as that sounds, those machines don't have that sensitivity that's needed, and EPA did clarify that for everybody at that meeting. You can't just buy machines that are $100 or $1,000. Isn't a vetted methodology to be able to identify or have value data for ethylene oxide or parts per billion. Those don't work either, and actually that's what's out there. EPA does have a vetted methodology that identifies the presence of ETO via TO15 canisters that is in the parts per billion, but it's not sensitive enough, and so you need to be in the parts per trillion. And what we did learn is that TCEQ, although they are the regulators, they don't even have that level of capability to be able to go out and respond to a complaint. Hey, Ceci's putting out all this stuff. Oh, we went out, but how did you check it? You don't even have that technology. That was an eye-opener for me. And so that technology, I've been in calls trying to figure out where we can figure out a PPT or a PPT as parts per trillion monitor. And so we were able to identify one, but because it's also not vetted by the EPA, the value of those results can be like, we don't know if they're good enough. Where do we go? What do we do? So we're still going to push forward with the accredited lab and the vetted methodology from EPA via RISC and Calc to get monitoring done. So that's still a win for in Los Angeles. EPA has said that they accept it, even though it's not the best, as they keep on saying, but they accept it. So as soon as the new fiscal year rolls around, October 1st, there should be funding to support the ETO operation. Could it impact the air quality monitoring program that we were looking to start here at the health department with the city funds? Potentially it could. So what we were trying to do on our side is just to know, indefinitely what we're doing at the city of Laredo, or what our air quality is, which includes the 6 common air pollutants, but we want to definitely focus on the particulate matter 2.5, on the ozone, on the nitrous oxide and lead, because of the high traffic that comes through our city, and it's important for us to know exactly what's in our atmosphere. I'm still going to push forward with that, even if they take that money away and put it into ETO. It's still a great cause. It could just set us back on starting it up for ourselves. I'll push it through again to next council period so that we can start that. But there's still that EPA grant that has not been awarded yet. We've made requests already to EPA, and they said we're still on track to notify for award, even though they said August, and then they said September, and we have 10 days left in September, and we still don't have that notification. So I'm very hopeful that we do get the award. No, not so worried. The award from them, because if the monies are reallocated for this ETO initiative, which is still something necessary, we still get the monies in from the EPA to do our general monitoring, it's only for a year, so that'll carry us for the year. And then luckily the equipment that we're getting will still be part of City of Laredo, and then the following year I get to ask for that same level of funding to have that staff member stay on board and continue to roll that data out for the community. So I do see it still as a win-win situation, contingent on the EPA award coming through to the City of Laredo, which I feel that we have an amazing chance. I mean, that should be like a 95% confidence interval there for us to obtain those dollars for the City of Laredo, which will still get us the air quality monitoring program that I believe should be in existence no matter what. Of course, the goal is to eliminate or significantly reduce ETO emissions. So just so that the group knows, as I've had to become somewhat of a novice air expert, since I'm nowhere near being an air quality expert. TCEQ by statute does allow 7,007 pounds per day to able to be emitted of ETO in a community. So that equates to more than 2.5 million tons pounds on an annual basis, which is just a huge amount. Of course, Midwest has said that they brought it down to 6,000 for the whole year. Do we know that? We don't.
But how do we know?
Yeah, exactly.
But how do we know if they've done it or not, since there's no...
So they're self-reporting it?
But two points. You said we are going to use the methodology as per EPA. I was wondering what exactly is that. Then the other piece is we're still at the point where we have no monitor for ETO, and although we may have other monitoring because of the heavy metals in the air due to transit and 18-wheelers, etc., we are still not looking at the ETO, which is the carcinogen that is in our air. And as I understand from reports that are available to look at, including the map, the EPA map, we are in trouble in Laredo, and we are not, as long as that is in the air, we're not going to be healthy. And people will continue to die from cancer. I know that cancer is caused by a myriad of things, but if we know that this is in the air, we certainly should address it. So first of all, as I stated, what is that methodology you spoke of? And secondly, where are we at with getting the ETO monitoring system in place?
So the EPA methodology involves TO15 canisters. As mentioned, I am not an air quality expert, and definitely if more information is needed regarding that methodology, you can query EPA Region 6 to acquire that, which is at the Dallas office.
Region 6?
Yes, EPA Region 6 at the Dallas office. With David Garcia. He is the lead for air. Also, RISG and CALC, the Clean Air Laredo Committee, they're the individuals that will be charged with facilitating this process as they are uniting funds from Webb County, City of Laredo. They are also petitioning UISD and LISD to put these funds together, and then move to initiate the monitoring via an accredited lab that will exercise the EPA methodology so that there is no hiccups or any type of organization or litigator can come in and say this is not approved or this is not valid data. So,
all right, so really, in the preliminary stages of trying to get the equipment we need in order to monitor the air quality before we even can submit it to EPA, is that correct?
that is correct. So, but RISC and Clean Air Laredo have already identified 3 or 4, if I'm not mistaken, 3 for sure, accredited labs that are able to do this on basically from one day to the next. So it's just about them getting the dollars turned into them, which City of Laredo has already committed, Webb County has already committed. They're going out to UISD and LISD, and it's not something that they will also be announcing that will be happening because we don't want Midwest to shut off that operation and then we get 0 readings. It will be an operation that is basically unannounced, that begins on XY day, so that way data is going to be valid, that the organization does not know that this is happening, October 25th through November 1st.
Or the sampling to actually be random sampling.
Yes.
Dr. Chamberlain, so then the other piece is there any way that you could shoot the data to all of the members of this committee for the contact people of Clean Laredo?
Yeah, absolutely. We can get
I
that
really
information.
would appreciate that, and that way we can get ongoing data from them.
Yeah, I mean, all their data that they will collect will be completely transparent and shared with the community. It'll be posted on their website. They will come to City Hall and share it via council meetings, via commissioner meetings, via school board meetings if they, of course, get the funding from them as well. But that data they have shared will be completely transparent.
And could we get the contact information for that organization, please?
I don't know who, I can't recall who is the chair or the executive director, but I can put you in contact, of course, with Trisha with RISG and Sheila with RISG, and they'll get me the individual who is the lead of that organization.
I'd appreciate that information. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Are actually moving now, and we're very hopeful that with the data that we are collecting via the partnership, which is extremely important, I think that this demonstrates the